From the Grave I Crawl by Epic Insanity 666, Chapter 22. An unlikely cameo. Feeling his eyelids flutter under the light of a fire, Naruto let out a groan while reaching up to rub his face. His eyes snapped awake as he sat up, grimacing at feeling a sharp pain in his side. He reached for the heavily bruised area with a wince. Looking around the inside of the cabin, the sounds of a storm outside made Naruto thank his luck of being found. Before he went into full alert at hearing a voice yawn, turning to the fireplace where the fire crackled, he noticed the figure on an armrest chair, a bottle of water by his feet. The man showed his attire, a worn coat with a fur collar, fair skin with a glow beneath that made Naruto think of ash being covered by water. Watching the man rub his face where a beard sat, Naruto also noticed the wolf ears standing proudly on his head. Seeing the man turn his head, it's considered rude to stare at someone without saying a word, making Naruto gulp. As he moved to sit upright, he grimaced before speaking. Sorry. Seeing the man shrug before getting up, the man reached for painkillers. He showed bright gold eyes as he approached. Holding them to Naruto, the man sat down on a stool where a side table of medical equipment sat, staring at the medicine with a look of suspicion. The wolf faunus gave an eye roll. He spoke. If I wanted to do you harm, I would have left you in the storm outside. Plus, it took me a lot to clean that wound on your ankle. Even Aura would have trouble healing that without scarring. Seeing the man gesture to his bare ankle, Naruto winced as he stared at the bite mark. Moving to rub it, the wolf stopped him by grabbing his wrist, making Naruto look up to the man's worried eyes. I wouldn't touch it just yet. The bone, for some reason, was as soft as fresh bread, so be careful when moving. Setting himself back, Naruto looked to his ankle with a scowl of annoyance that made the wolf chuckle. I was like you when I was a huntsman in training. Feels like centuries ago. Moving to stand up, Naruto watched the man move to the other couch. Reaching down, he picked up a sleeping Kurama, making Naruto perk up as the man had a look of recognition towards Kurama as he set the Biju on Naruto's lap. Moving to get his partner, the wolf turned to the medical equipment with a question, alarming Naruto completely. May I ask how a Jinchuriki got into Remnant? Staring at the man in alarm, Naruto went to defend himself until he noticed ash rise off the man's back, while he turned to Naruto with a curious look, crossing his arms with a look a father would give to a misbehaving son. It's just a simple question. Giving the man a look while weighing his options, Naruto gave off a sigh of defeat. My sensei sent me across the sea. Speaking of a myth about a wall of storms, seeing the man perk up with a raised eyebrow, Naruto heard a muttered fuck of annoyance while the man moved to a map of Remnant. One part of the map circled with the labeled Grim Bitch Queen in bright red, and the other oddly shaped island labeled Dragonlands. Turning to Naruto with a new highlighter in hand, the man gestured to the map with a question. When you arrived, whereabout did you arrive? Seeing the man in full-on detective mode, Naruto pointed to Vale. Vale? Well, the seaside of Vale. Watching the man highlight the very bottom of the map with a purple highlighter, he turned to Naruto with a confused gesture. What exactly caused you to leave the elemental nations, Uzumaki and Namikaze, Naruto? Giving the man a stunned look to know who he was, Naruto gave a silent gasp that escaped his mouth as a squeak. The man spoke. Sorry, being a traveler of words, I forget to state the fact I know many things, your real name being a small example, but what I want to know is what the fuck happened to your world that majority fucked up the dimensional barrier. Staring at the man with a shocked expression, Naruto held Kurama protectively while he spoke. Who are you? Seeing the man perk up with a smile spreading over his bearded face, the wolf gave a gesture bow with his eyes golden glow intensifying into golden cracks. My name is Loki Fenris, dimensional explorer, hero of my own remnant, and personal fixer of any major fuck-ups heroes cause to their worlds accidentally. Smiling with Naruto giving him a look, the now named Loki gave his own frown as his eyes lowered their glow. So, how did your world fuck up? Sitting up with a yawn at the early morning, Raven blinked her eyes of the sleep before she sat up in worry for an unknown reason. Reaching for her scroll to see it having no missed messages or calls, Raven stood up with Summer following suit, making them share a look before they stood and dressed. Something isn't right. Giving Summer a look of agreement, the two moved to leave the dorm room until the door was tapped on, making them stop in confusion. Approaching the door, Raven opened it to show Osmond standing with a worried look over his features, making Raven and Summer worry. Miss Bronwyn, Miss Rose, will you follow me, please? Stepping away from the door for the two to follow, Raven stopped with a dying hope in her heart. Oz, Where is Naruto? Seeing the man stop with a sigh following, he turned to them with a sedated gaze. My sources are looking high and low for the location of Team Outcast since yesterday, after two Atlas soldiers claimed a grim alarm was used as a trap. The area has been quarantined as a crime scene by the officials, which has also split the Alice military as a Black Ops operative has been labeled the culprit. Turning with the two following, Summer closed their dorm door before running to catch up. Do we know who did this? Any names? What? Jacob Hyde has been called the culprit on eyewitness accounts, and so far the two soldiers have barricaded themselves in their homes of fear of being silenced. Well, has there been any arrests? Turning to Summer, Osmond had a rare look of anger as he gave an answer. The scene shows signs of grim, but I have my suspicions and have decided to take action. Gesturing for them to follow, stepping into an elevator to the bottom floor, Osmond gave them both a look with a young aura in his eyes. Tell me, what is your favorite fairy tale? Giving out a grunt as he felt his head jerk back from his current position, Naruto turned his head enough to glare at Loki's head as he scaled the currently ice-covered wall with claws like Lucian. Looking up to the top of the frozen waterfall, Naruto spoke heatedly. Hey, you gonna take it easy on the climb? My head is making a killing here. Feeling Loki stop with a sigh, Naruto turned to the wolf faunus who had his head resting against the ice. Are you going to keep complaining about the smallest of things? Feeling anger at the wolf, Naruto summoned chakra chains that had roped around Loki's throat, halting their climb once more, with Loki growling viciously. I just lost my teammates to some fucking psycho. What makes you think I'm going to be quiet about it? Making his chain shove Loki's head, the wolf didn't move for a moment before Naruto felt the back of Loki shift. Turning his head, he stared at the size of a muzzle of bared teeth before he felt himself lurch downward as they moved upwards. Watching the frozen water soar below him, they landed with a growl from Loki as he let out a groan while turning back. Lifting Naruto off his back, he made a wheelchair designed for snow, strapping him for proper travel with his injured foot elevated. Loki got behind the back of the chair before moving Naruto forward. All right, kid, tell me where to go and I'll see what I can sniff out of this newly set layer of snow. Moving Naruto over the snow with little resistance, Tochinjurki sat with his eyes peeled for the scene. He felt Kurama shifting on his shoulders. Do you think we can trust this guy, kid? Looking over Naruto's shoulder to give the wolf a look as he stared over the surrounding areas, Naruto spoke in a quiet tone. What choice do we have? All I want to know is where the others are. Giving his partner a look, the QB went to give a set of eyes to look. He perked up as he sent out a pulse of chakra. Feeling the aura within Lucian, it was the exact same one as he felt the day before. Looking to the wolf as he sniffed ever so often, his eyes darting left and right. Seeing the mine through the tree line ahead, Naruto went to speak until they stopped at hearing a beowulf howl, making Kurama stand at attention with teeth bared, with Loki moving to their defense as three beowulf rushed into sight, circling around them with Loki staring at the beowulf, stepping forward with the alpha accepting the challenge. Naruto paled as the grim towered over Lucian by half a man, baring its teeth. Loki growled loudly, making the alpha stop and back down until Loki reached up to its snout, pulling it down with care. Naruto stared at the sight in awe as the werewolf let out low whimpers, allowing Naruto to watch with their blood-red eyes melt into a soft golden glow. Shaking their heads, the alpha stood up tall, showing a hand print on its forehead. Letting out a howl, the beowulf joined it with Loki turning back to Naruto. All right, let's get this investigation on the way. Moving behind Naruto's back, the blonde watched the beowulf following them with guard dogs. Seeing one sniff at Naruto, it sniffed towards his injured foot before snorting. Moving away from the blonde, Naruto failed to notice his ankle spread black and purple veins reaching upwards. How the fuck did you do that? Looking up to Loki as he gave a short whistle to the alpha, it turned back to him to see him gesture to the left. Giving a nod, it led the lower beowulf on the search. In my remnant, I died and came back with power like no other. Still, that's pretty cool. Hearing Loki chuckle as they broke the tree line, they noticed the still noticeable rhino tracks, along with another set of wheels leading away in the snow. Cursing at the sight, Loki moved Naruto to the rhino tracks while he moved to the others. Staring at the area with glowing eyes, he gave a wince as he heard a dark giggle. Glaring to the left to see the ghostly appearance of Salem giggling. Reaching for his hand cannon, Loki took aim with the barrel igniting with fire. Watching Salem's apparition vanish to show a jellyfish Grim trying to hide, turning to Naruto with a whistle for attention. The blonde turned to him with a frown of confusion until Loki nodded to the thought to be hitting Grim. Use your chains to drag it over. Given a nod, Naruto aimed a hand to the grim jellyfish, startling it, chains wrapping around it. The poor thing was yanked towards Loki, who caught it with a vicious grin. Approaching Naruto, who gave it a confused look, Loki spoke with a middle finger given to the grim as its bulbous head glowed yellow. This here, my dear fellow hunter, is a seer, rarely seen by the human and faunus populace because of the bitch watching us through it, giving the grim head, but with it giving off a pained squeal that was silenced by Loki crushing it slightly. Who, the Grim Queen Salem, is the bitch who wants to ruin all the hope humanity has against her so-called pets. Turning to Naruto, the jellyfish called out to the Beowulf as they approached. Thinking hope was there, Loki gave a chuckle as he approached the Alpha. Looking to the sad excuse of a Grim, Loki held it to the Alpha with a smile that promised pain. Smack! Seeing the Alpha sniff the Grim, it growled in pleasure, leaving the Alpha's jaw the last thing it broadcasted to Salem before it was eaten. End of chapter 22.